Hey everybody, welcome to the G. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina. Hope everybody's having a good day. I've been hoping for a Christmas miracle. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. It's probably nearly absolutely 100% impossible at this point in time. We're getting down to the last couple days and it's just not happening. To all of you who've already subscribed, thank you very much. But I could use some more. I need 900 more subscribers in like 3 days, 4 days. My Christmas miracle is just not gonna happen. All those claims out there of getting all these subscribers and doing all this stuff in a week, in a day, and oh yeah, you can get these subscribers, you can do this, you can do that. Yeah, it's been a year. It's been a year, and what do I got? I thank you for all that you are here, but it's not, no miracle is going to happen for me this year. Unfortunately, there's just nobody here for me. I'm glad you all are tuning in to my 30 Days of Janet EVANOVICH, ending with 30-30. Come here. I caught a catfish. Who doesn't want to be here? So, Stephanie is a bounty hunter. Lulu is her pal and co-host. Connie is the office manager. Vinny is the owner. We have her mother and Grandma Mazur. We don't hear too much from her father, Frank, at all. And she doesn't want to be here. She doesn't. I got to get me some more kittens. She's not the emotional support cat. My emotional support cat passed away, and that's another reason I'm reading these books this month, besides the fact that all my relatives have passed away, so I'm completely alone. But I need a cat that will let me hold when I want, will come to me when I want, will comfort me when I want. Not the cat that will come to me when she wants, will let me hold her when she wants. Which she's our queen. She's the queen of the house. So, where was it? Oh, yeah. And then we have Joe. We have Morelli. All right. His name is Joe Morelli, but the world calls him Morelli. You have friends that you just call by their last name. Well, she's gonna. All right. At this point in time, she's not gonna marry the guy, but she may someday marry the guy. Do you think she'll be calling him Joe, or do you think she'll be calling him Morelli for the rest of his life? And then, of course, there is Ranger, the special ops guy with the secretive background that we keep learning more and more and more about. And we will learn more about his background in this book. Woohoo! Some background information. And we also come back to an older... we had an FTA several books ago, Randy Briggs, and you have to listen to Susan Erickson do it. She does it so well. But he's back. He's got a job as security in the hospital. So he's back. We see Tank and Hal a little bit, but we have no real big other peoples. But anyways, so she's doing a surveillance on a skip when the book starts. And this happens. And if you are a viewer of my book reviews, and I have to share my enjoyment with these books with you. I have to share. I just do. Especially the funny moments. I like them funny. I crossed the street with Lila. We got sodas and we stood in front of the store clugging them down. A black Cadillac Escalade rolled down the street and stopped by my car. Two idiots wearing gang colors got out, scooped up the skinny guy up and threw him in the Escalade. A yellow Hummer careened around the corner, jerked to a stop half a block in front of the Escalade, and two guys got in the Hummer, leaned out the window, and opened fire. The Escalade returned fire. A guy wearing a crooked baseball cap popped his head up of the sunroof on the Hummer, aimed a rocket launcher at the Escalade, and poof! The rocket went wide of the Escalade and blew up my car. Blow up number one. There was a moment of silence, and both cars roared away. "You're off the grid," Ranger said when I answered. "Someone blew up my car." There was a moment of silence. "I guess I could use a ride." Babe. That's Ranger for you. Then we get this. "I need a date," Ranger said. My voice racketed up an octave. "You want me to get you a date?" "No, I want you to be my date. I have to attend a black tie event and I need someone watching my back." Me? I wasn't exactly the Terminator. People would talk if I brought Tank. Tank is appropriately named. He's Ranger Shadow and second in command at Rangeman. And Ranger was right. Tank would make a controversial date. "When is this?" I asked Ranger. "Tomorrow night." "Tomorrow? I just can't drop everything and do tomorrow. You should have asked me sooner. I'm seeing Morelli. It's Friday date night. We're going to the movies and then... "I give you a better and then," Ranger said. I went breathless for a beat at the thought of Ranger's "and then." Morelli was an amazing lover, but Ranger was magic. I pulled myself together and narrowed my eyes at Ranger, hoping I looked determined. "You and I are done doing and then with each other. There is absolutely no more and then. Morelli and I have an understanding, which is, it's vague, babe. I'm serious this time. I might be ready to have a committed adult relationship. I'll pay you." "Excuse me?" "I'll hire you for the night. You can be my bodyguard." You gotta love it. So they've got new FTAs for Jeffrey Cubbin. He was embezzling $5 million. He disappeared from the hospital. She later learns that several other people have gone missing from the hospital, and the security tapes don't say anything. And that's where Randy Briggs comes in, as he's got a new job as security officer at the hospital. And someone is trying to kill Ranger's friend. That's why he needs the date for the wedding. And someone is trying to kill Ranger, although they don't outwardly try and kill Ranger. They're trying to kill all these people around Ranger, but not actually go after Ranger because Ranger is just too secure. And they have to figure out who the guy is. So she gets Big Blue, and she goes to the house. And I would be remiss if I didn't include Stephanie's mother's daily rant. It's a ritual. It's something we expect to hear each book. So we're gonna go for it. We share it. We're gonna enjoy it. "I don't understand how you have all these accidents," my mother said. "I don't know of a single other person who's had his car blown up." She looked down the table at my father. "Frank, do you know of anyone else who's ever had their car blown up? Frank, are you listening to me?" My father picked his head up and a piece of chicken fell out of his mouth. "Huh?" "It's our job," Lula said. "It's one of them occupational hazards. Like another hazard is getting hospital cooties. We had to do some investigating in a hospital today, and I might have got the cooties." "I bet you were tracking down Jeffrey Cuban," Grandma said. "Connie called me asking about his doctor. I know something about it on account of Lorraine Mucci has a relative in Cranberry Manor, and Lorraine said Cuban is gonna need a lot of doctors if those people get their hands on him." He was embezzling from the Manor home. And so then she goes to Morelli's. I sat next to him on the couch and took a beer. I had to borrow Big Blue, so I had dinner with my parents. So what's wrong with your car? It accidentally got blown up. Morelli turned and focused on me. Car bomb? Handheld rocket. The line of his mouth tightened a little, and his eyes narrowed ever so slightly. It was an accident? I was on Stark Street. That explains it, Morelli said, his attention back to the bag of food. He ate the chocolate cake first, he gave some potatoes to Bob, and he put the rest in the fridge for later. This was a nice surprise, he said, settling back into the couch. Do you want to take your clothes off? Whatever happened to romance? What about foreplay? Foreplay goes faster without clothes. Fast is important? Morelli flicked his eyes back to the television. They're changing picture. We probably have 10 minutes. I need more than 10 minutes. Morelli grinned at me and his eyes got soft and dark. I know. 10 minutes during a baseball game. Where's the romance in that one? So she has a sleepover. She asks Morelli about Cuban. He's been assigned to Lenny Schmidt. Vinny gets on him when she gets to the office about Cuban. They go talk to his wife. Grandma Mazur decides to help. She's going to go undercover in the hospital. Then when they go to pick up Grandma, she's all dressed up, and she is wearing a Marilyn Monroe wig. And they go to Cranberry Manor, and it's not really a good place. Then they take Grandma to the hospital for her undercover gig. They get more skips, and That's it. We leave it at that. They go after a couple people. Then they get a call from Randy Briggs. Grandma got into it at the hospital. She's in trouble. They need to come pick her up. Then we have Ranger and the date. And it becomes a hazardous one, although you have to be prepared. Book 20. There's an incident there where Ranger really shows his emotions, so you'll have to check out that video later. I'm getting use out of this top. I can only wear it so many times a year, and I'm getting use out of it. It's Christmas! Okay. Ranger was driving his black 911 Turbo. The car was fast and sexy, and sometimes the ride was a little rough. A lot like Ranger. He was never typically talkative, especially when staying in his zone. Always alert, keeping his thoughts hidden. This was fine because if I knew his personal thoughts about me, I'd probably hyperventilate and faint. He didn't break the silence until we hit the Atlantic City Expressway. We're attending an award dinner for a man who's been active in the Atlantic City community, Ranger said, and we're keeping an eye on Robert Kinsey. He's one of the speakers. He owns an electrical supply company in Whitehorse, and he lives in Hamilton Township. A client? A friend. I didn't know you had friends. Funny, Ranger said. So not only do you have a friend, but he's the sort of guy who speaks at award ceremonies. He's marrying Amanda Olson. Her father is getting an award. Oh, that would explain it. I was in the Middle East with Kinsey. We were part of a small unit of specialists. Kinsey and I bailed when our tour duty was up. The rest of the unit went career military. 3 weeks ago, Kinsey and I started getting cryptic, threatening messages with a code only known to our unit. You don't know who's sending these messages? No, I haven't been able to trace them down. Do you think they're serious? The unit wasn't made up of a bunch of guys with a sense of humor. If they said they were going to blow up a building or wipe out a terrorist cell, you knew they would do it. So Ranger is investigating that. And she ends up getting sick. There was some poisoning going on. So then she talks to Morelli about the Cuban case. They go looking for another skip. Um, a lot of this book, the guy has a tiki statue, and supposedly it sends out subliminal messages, and it controls a lot of the actions of the cast in the book. You can believe it if you want. At one point, it tells Stephanie to get lit. She does. It tells Lula to get chicken. She does. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So then, why did I mark this? Oh. I jumped behind the wheel, plugged the key into the ignition, and jumped when someone rapped on my window. It was Ranger. "You left the contents of your purse in my car last night," he said, handing me a plastic baggie. "Thanks, and I have your gun." I pulled the Ruger out of my bag and gave it to Ranger. He held the gun flat in his hand and looked at it. "It smells like orange blossoms." I washed it out and sprayed it with air freshener. "You washed it?" I wore rubber gloves and scrubbed it with my vegetable brush. It was icky. He yanked open the driver's side door, pulled me out of the car, and kissed me. The kiss involved tongue and a hand on my ass and made my nipples tingle. "I can always count on you to brighten my day," Ranger said. Ranger drove off, and I got back into the Buick. "That was hot," Lula said. "Imagine what he'd do if you washed his clock." You gotta listen to Lorelei King read this. You have to. How she reads this with a straight face. Okay, so we don't see her face. But how she reads this with a straight tone. How many takes did they have to take? How did she read this without laughing hysterically and picturing this in her mind? And then we have Morelli. Let me see if I can. "Do you see him?" I asked Lula. "Yeah, I see him, and he don't see us. He's texting us on his cell phone, not paying attention." I cut the engine, and Lula and I got out and went to the sidewalk. I tucked cuffs into the waistband of my jeans for easy access, put my illegal stun gun in my back pocket, and got a grip on the pepper spray. "What's the plan?" Lula said. "How about I distract him by offering him some hose services, and then you could sneak up behind him and give him 1,000 volts. How's that sound?" "Sounds good. Make sure you turn him around so he doesn't see me." I slipped into the doorway of a building. Lula headed for Barrel, and Barrel stepped off the curb, still texting. A shiny black Mercedes sped down the street and hit Barrel straight on. Barrel got punted about 10 feet, and the Mercedes ran over him. My stomach instantly got sick, and my breath caught in my throat. "Ow," Lula said. "That's gotta hurt." Mercedes came to a stop, and two men got out. They were all blinged up in gold chains and flashy running suits, and the one had lightning bolt cut into his hair. Lula and I ran into the street and joined the men who were staring down at Barrel. Barrel wasn't moving, and he had tire tracks across his chest. "That's Melvin Barrel," the driver said. The other guy squatted down for a closer look. "Yep, Barrel, all right." "Is he okay?" Lula asked. "Looks to me like he's dead," the guy said. "The idiot walked right in front of my car," the driver said. "Who does that?" "He was texting," Lula. "That'll teach you to text." "Well, he's not texting no more," the driver said. He pulled out a gun and shot Barrel 5 times. "That's for hitting my car, asshole." Lula and I sucked in some air and stumbled back about 10 feet, and the two guys got into the Mercedes and drove away. I punched 911 into my cell phone with a shaky finger and reported the accident. I called Morelli and reported the accident. And then Lula and I stood guard over the body so it didn't get scooped up by God knows who like the last time we were on Star. Morelli parked and sauntered over to me. "Your FTA has tire tracks on his chest." I made a grimace. 2 guys in a Mercedes drove over him. Technically, it wasn't a hit and run, though, Lula told him. They stopped, but they didn't stay. They only stayed long enough to shoot him. He got run over by the Mercedes, then he got shot? Morelli asked. That's right. It was recreational shooting. Barrel was already dead from being run over. Morelli turned his attention to me. You do understand that your life isn't normal, right? Barrel was texting and he stepped off the curb without looking. But you were here, Morelli said. How does it happen that you're always right in the precise spot where disaster strikes? Your car's been blown up how many times? And it's never your fault. Remember when you fell off the fire escape into dog diarrhea and the time you dated a serial killer? I remember him, Lula said. He could make a damn good pork chop. Is there a point to this? I asked Morelli. No, he said. I'm venting. It scares the crap out of me that I'm in love with you. Ah, that's sweet, Lula said. I thought so too. It was kind of a backhanded admission, but it made my heart get fluttery. The sight of Barrel lying on the ground, oozing body fluid, snapped me back to the moment. I took my phone out of the bag. You don't mind if I take a picture of this guy with my cell phone, do you? I needed to prove he's dead. The paperwork on an FTA is just a lot. So what's up with your butt? Hey, Missy? You gonna come over here or what? Come here. No, you're gonna go that way. You gonna come over this way? You like it this way better? You like being all cute? Come here. Come here. Come here. I know. I know. There you go. How's it going? I know. You don't like it. She was just looking all so cute on the floor. See, you're not one of those cuddly cats, you know that. You just like it on your terms. I know. We should go get another kitty. But then you would kill it, wouldn't you? She would. Nah, she would just be a very, very bossy parent. So they plan for a date. They go through some more FTAs. They follow the wife of the guy that disappeared. Apparently she's bought all this equipment to do surveillances. Later, when they go into a house to sneak around, accidentally, whatever, there's somebody else in the house also sneaking around looking for stuff. While she's out surveilling the nurse because she totally, absolutely believes that her husband is bonking the nurse. So she does all this surveillance stuff, and they finally get around to going in, and they check it out, and her husband's not there. But they get Granger and Kinsey get more threatening messages. The Tiki tells Stephanie to go to the Mexican grill for a margarita. She calls Morelli. They get a little romantic. Grandma Bella comes over the next day, threatens Stephanie again. If you don't know, Grandma Bella is forever giving people the eye, and Stephanie is scared to death of her, and Joe just lets it go. And I think Joe should pay more attention to Grandma Bella and tell her to stop threatening his girlfriend. He should stick up for his potential wife, but he doesn't. He blows it up. And he should take it more seriously because it really scares Stephanie. And he should take more of her feelings into respect. And Logan comes by. He wants the tiki. Then she has to be a bridesmaid for the wedding. And apparently another humorous aspect of this wedding, and my buddy over there goes, every time I do a video. Another humorous aspect of this book is the fact that when the wedding salon, the dress shop calls for updates on the fitting, come get a fitting, come get resized, come pick up the dress, come pick up shoes. All those calls go to Ranger. So it's very amusing that Ranger thinks that he's being tortured by this particular phone call, so that they're calling him and not Stephanie. They trace the working facility to a clinic. They hear that the doctor's moonlighting, and they get Briggs to go in the mail chute and check it out. It's pretty much empty. Then she goes to dinner with her parents, and she gives Morelli the leftovers. They do the clinic. They take Briggs with them. They shove him in the mail slot. He gets in. Briggs is really short. He's a dwarf, so he fits. Things go to hell in a handbasket there a little bit. So we have two mysteries going on here. We have the guys in Ranger's unit being threatened, and then we have the missing men from the hospital. These men go to the hospital for a serious illness. They have their surgery, and then apparently they disappear within 24 hours. Another guy goes missing, and Briggs is like, we gotta help this. I really don't. Oh, so there's an amusing moment with Morelli and they go to Pino's. They get the food. They get Bob. They go to her house. We were in front of the television eating the subs, drinking beer, and watching a pre-game show for the Mets. I heard something go poof from the parking lot, and my living room window shattered. Morelli vaulted over the couch, picked up something off the floor, threw it out the shattered window, and a moment later there was a loud explosion from the parking lot. I went to the window and stood next to Morelli. 3 cars were furiously burning. One was Morelli's. The Buick was fine. Big Blue will never get hurt, ever. Big Blue is always safe. So you know that when she gets Big Blue, nothing will happen to said vehicle. I'm thinking about marrying a woman who gets rockets launched into her living room, Morelli said. What's wrong with this picture? You're thinking about marrying me? I've been thinking about marrying you for 10 years, Morelli said. Do you want to explain this latest terrorist attack to me? It's all a misunderstanding. Some nutcase thinks I'm in a relationship with Ranger. Are you in a relationship with Ranger? No, I'm working for him. And this is why the nutcase just fired off a rocket into your living room? Yes. Do you know him by name? Not exactly. Ranger's working on it. So, you'll have to check it out. It's a really good book. There's not too many hysterically funnies like we had with the exploding beaver and Joyce Barnhart issue. But to find out how the men are getting out of the hospital, you'll have to read the book. Grandma solves the mystery. She gets the valuable clue. And who is threatening Ranger and his men, and what happens to him. And this little sticker says they're stickers. So you'll have to let us know if you're Team Morelli or Team Ranger. Which one shall you be? And please hit the like and subscribe. I've got this. I can't even make 200 by Christmas. Come on, guys. Support me here. And don't forget, Lorelei King. She talks the greatest. Have a good one. Don't forget Star Trek Fridays. Bye.